One, two, one, two, three.
Welcome to the Sneaking into the Movies podcast. I'm Max Nathan.
And I'm Norman Davis. This week, we're going to be talking about Captain America Civil War ahead of the mildly anticipated Captain America Brave New World. But first, let's talk about some Super Bowl trailers.
This was like the worst Super Bowl ever. I just want to say that. I'm not a huge football fan to begin with, but this was, I usually watch for the commercials and the trailers and that kind of thing, and the game to some extent, although I really, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of football. But usually the commercials and the trailers offer, even cynical viewers like me, a little silver lining, little goodies.
Something to watch.
Yeah, some little goodies. This Super Bowl had no little goodies. It was very sparse on trailers, and the commercials were largely god-awful, in my opinion. I don't know. How did you feel about the commercials this year?
I thought they were pretty bad. As a really, really big fan of football, I thought the game was pretty terrible too. I like the Chiefs. You can cancel me all you want. I know everyone hates the Chiefs, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, I thought it was a lame game for everyone. But
Yeah. Except for Eagles fans, of course.
Except for Eagles fans. I don't even think the Eagles played that well, but we're not a football podcast here.
No.
Yeah. The commercials were bad. I don't really remember any of them. Most of them got released online anyway. Did you know that did you see the one that was a seal as a seal?
I saw the memes of it. I didn't see the commercial, but I
Do you
saw...
know who directed that commercial?
Was it one of the Russo brothers?
It was Taika Waititi.
Holy shit.
And you can tell.
Damn. How far you can fall.
How far you can fall.
Um,
But let's talk about the movies, what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you want to kick us off? I think we're going to kind of breeze through the ones that didn't really do much before getting to the good stuff.
So the big meaty trailers here are really the Marvel ones. Fantastic Four was not a Super Bowl trailer release. It came out earlier in the week, but we're primarily going to talk about the two Marvel trailers that came out because they're clearly the most significant here, in my opinion. We also had Jurassic World and Mission Impossible spots. I think that might have been it, honestly. Like I said, it was
How to Train
really
Your Dragon?
How to Train Your Dragon, which looks so fucking great, right?
No. That shit looks awful. Does not look good.
Yeah. A lot of these movies look very bad, but, let's talk about some Marvel trailers because there might be some, gems in here. The first trailer we got this week was Fantastic Four, which you are the most anticipated for that movie. I don't know if I put that correctly, but yeah.
I am a pretty big Fantastic Four fan.
Yes.
I've been waiting to see something from this other than the, phone recorded footage we got from whatever it was, I think Comic-Con.
Yep.
But I think it looks great. I'm very excited. I still understand that there's a lot of worry. It's still a Marvel Studios movie in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not good, I won't be surprised. But everything I'm seeing, everything I'm hearing, I'm liking. I'm liking the look. I'm more sold on the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. Teasers is supposed to be the first look.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great first look. I like what I'm seeing in the little 2 minutes that we got.
Definitely. I also thought it had it was a really good table setter, I guess. It was just a vibe. It wasn't, wasn't any plot really. But it's a good, it looks like it'll be a good movie. I think I would be very surprised if it's terrible. But I think this is the floor for this movie is good Marvel movie. And I think the ceiling is also... The ceiling's not extremely high. I don't think this could be a genuinely great transcendent Marvel movie. But...
I think it could be up there.
You think so? With Guardians and things like that and Loki?
I think there's I don't know. I was liking what I was seeing. I like the director. I like the crew. I think it could be really good. It seems like they really want this to be the best it can. I was talking with some of my friends the other day. I think if Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige really wanted just a Fantastic Four movie out by now, it would have come. But they've been working on this for a while. It seems like they really wanted to get everything right.
They have to do it right.
They have to do it right, yeah. I think the issue with a lot of Marvel movies is that they just go through really, really fast production. They're really rushed. They just want to get something out. But it doesn't seem like that's what's going on here.
Yeah,
Which doesn't mean it can't be bad. It could definitely be bad, but I just think, other than like my clear bias, because I love those characters, I still think there's a good chance they've been locking in. I think Feige understands like this is kind of the future. This is like his last stand to get people
definitely
for the next couple of years. So,
and they really do need to nail it, because I think for both of these movies that we're going to talk about that had trailers come out, I don't think the public is that interested in seeing movies about these characters right now, as is. You kind of need to pull people in on this. This isn't Iron Man. This isn't Spider-Man. This isn't Batman. This is, the Fantastic Four are classic Marvel characters. But, there's 2 Fantastic Four movies that are out, actually 3. 4. There's 4.
the Roger Corman one never technically came out. But
did it not? Okay.
You can watch it if you really want to.
Yeah. So we'll go with 3. There's 3 Fantastic Four movies that most people think are dog shit. Norman and I have some different opinions on the Tim Story movies. I think we both kind of like those movies.
Yeah, they're fun. They're just they were just cool movies when I was growing up. I don't know, they're pretty solid.
They're not like a train wreck like people portray them to be.
Like Fantastic Four 2015.
That's
Josh Trank movie.
That is a train wreck of epic proportions. You want to watch a really fucking bad movie? Go for that one. Or don't, because it's bad, like I said.
That might be my least favorite movie. That might be the most painful movie I ever watched in my life.
Did that sour you on movies for a while? Did that
kind of on superhero movies? I don't know. I've always really liked the Fantastic Four, and I was excited for something new, and it was just awful on everything about it was awful. There was nothing redeeming about that movie. So
I feel like, a lot of people, you get one of those sometimes. Like my brother has been into The Flash for his entire life. He's always loved The Flash for some reason. And we walked into that movie, and that movie is what it is. And unfortunately for him, that's his Flash movie. That's the one Flash movie that's out there.
Also, probably the only one that you get for at least 10 years.
Yeah. It's that big of a train wreck. But, yeah, back to Fantastic Four. I don't think the general public is super interested in a Fantastic Four movie right now, so the fact that they have the production design and costume design truly nailed is a big step up for them, I think. It's going to help. It's going to go a long way, because the look and feel of this movie is very unique compared to all the other Marvel stuff. It's set in a different universe. It kind of looks like the Jetsons. It's really shaping up to be something kind of unique within the MCU. And that's exciting, because we haven't really had that since in the movies, really, never.
Ever.
We haven't departed this far from the traditional Marvel, look and feel. I mean, we are in a different universe. Is this the first movie in a fully different universe?
Yeah, no. I mean, after Iron Man, everyone was in the established. There were superheroes around and stuff,
Yeah.
This is a completely new thing. They're the only heroes of this world. I would love some kind of couple second cameos of a 60s Iron Man, 60s Spider-Man. You don't need an actor really. Just have him flying around, or Spider-Man swinging around the city. But
that would be cool. I
think a lot of people in my life that weren't as interested in Marvel fell off of it hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're not freaks like us who still go see all these movies.
Yep.
But people are talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. If anything's going to be Marvel's big comeback, I would be more than happy if it was Fantastic Four.
Let me tell you what the big comeback is actually going to be. Okay? Because we're going to talk
I know
about
you're about to
Thunderbolts
say,
right now.
Yeah, when you talk about people to go see that. But
That movie, okay. I'm not going to deny it. Okay, the commercial appeal for Thunderbolts, it's in the toilet. That movie's going to make $12 at the box office. I'm going to be providing those $12, and I'm going to love Thunderbolts, okay? This is one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen. Just going to say that, point blank.
I don't know if I go that far, but it does look really, really good.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this movie, and that is shocking to me because when they announced it, it looked like the most annoying, terrible thing ever. We've talked about it before. Why are there like 5 Captain Americas on this team? Does it really work? Like, from a character standpoint, none of these actors are that, have that much star power. You have Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan. That's probably the 2 leads of the movie. And Sebastian Stan, this movie's in a different place. Not that different of a place, but Sebastian Stan has leveled up his career in the last year. I mean, A Different Man and The Apprentice were huge wins for him, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, all eyes are on him again.
Yeah.
At least for, yeah.
And you got Florence Pugh, who was in Dune. So, and Florence Pugh, I think the people liked Florence Pugh and going to see movies with Florence Pugh in it. We Live in Time did pretty great for, like a low budget romance drama. I think that's what you call that. I didn't see it, but heard it was pretty good. But yeah, this trailer looks great. I think that, and I'm going to diss the Fantastic Four here a little bit. Just a little bit.
I dare you.
And
I'll see you at the box office.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to agree with me. But there's some shots in the Fantastic Four trailer where I'm like, like kind of, I think, like I said, the costume design and the production design, they nailed it. The cinematography of the movie feels very familiar Marvel, in my opinion.
I would actually argue that about Thunderbolts.
Okay. How? Let me ask you what you're thinking there.
Obviously, it's super gray, so we can just start with that. It can be annoying in that way. I don't know. I mean, it looks well shot, but like the scene where in the car, that looks very MCU-y.
Yep. Okay,
I do. Like the shot of the tower. It's just some of it. I'm not trying to diss Thunderbolts. I think it looks great. I feel the same way as you. This looked like the fakest movie ever, and it's looking like it could really, really bang. And it might make money because I think Captain America might make money, and we might have a little domino effect that all these Marvel movies are going to make money and hopefully be good. So
that's all we want. Good movies. For the love of God, like let's not go back to Black Widow. Let's not do that. Let's not I don't know. You like Black Widow, don't you?
I don't mind it. I've seen it once and I liked it.
Okay.
And I probably wouldn't like it if I watched it again, but
okay.
Let's not go back to Quantumania. Like
that's a better one. That's a better example.
Steer clear.
Yeah.
We're Love and Thunder.
Yes. Yeah, I think that it really seems like Marvel is getting its groove back. It seems like Fantastic Four is going to be good. It seems like Thunderbolts is going to be good. But do you think they actually have their groove back? Or do you think they hired 2 competent directors and then we're going to get the worst AI-generated action figure bullshit Avengers movie with the most annoying press tour in history right after it?
It's probably going to be that. Do we have any other Marvel movies coming out next year other than Avengers?
I think it's just Avengers. I don't think after Fantastic Four there's anything between that and Avengers, which is certainly going to be interesting if that's like how they end up doing it. I bet you another movie comes out between those movies, and Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to get delayed 100 times probably.
No, Doomsday's filming in March. Doomsday starts filming
Are you
next year.
shitting me?
No.
What?
That thing's filming before the Batman 2.
It's going to be so stupid. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, they're like
Okay.
confirming more and more cast members, so
All right.
it's happening.
Okay, get ready for Doomsday, man.
I think it's gonna be like the most 80-yard movie ever. Like Tom Holland is filming a Spider-Man movie and The Odyssey like very soon.
Yep. Is Spider-Man comes out between Doomsday and Secret Wars, right?
Yes.
See, that's going to be stupid. Like, there's no way that isn't stupid. Like, and there's no way it doesn't fuck Spider-Man 4 as a movie, I think.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man 4 is gonna be the worst Spider-Man movie. Like I just like every time I think about it being like the bridge movie between Doomsday and Secret Wars,
Yeah.
it's not looking hot.
No. No, it is not. But yeah, I think that it really perplexes me as to what the ending of Fantastic Four is going to be if we're going to go straight from that movie into Avengers Doomsday.
I don't know. I was talking about this the other day. I find it harder to lose to Galactus.
Okay.
They just don't really do that.
Mhm.
But maybe they just will, and maybe this Reed will just like be cracked in Doomsday because he lost. But I don't know. Like honestly, they may not even set that up till Doomsday. Like maybe our Fantastic Four, that movie ends, they're just like chilling. They got rid of Galactus, and then in Doomsday somehow they get pulled into it.
Yeah.
Or there's
What?
some post-credit scene of like, oh, we're gonna be incursion soon. And they're like, into which Earth? And it's like 616. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
That's
That's
that
what
sounds
I'm
like
thinking.
that sounds like exactly what they're gonna do. But let me ask you, because I have kind of an idea, but I need to ask about some source material context. So let's go to Norman's source material context corner, I guess.
All right.
What's the origin of the Maker? Like, is the Maker like an alternate version of Reed Richards, or is it like a traditional origin Reed Richards that went bad, or like what's the deal there?
So the Maker is the Ultimate Universe's Reed Richards, who had like a pretty similar origin to the Fantastic Four, and then he pretty much went crazy. Kind of kept losing. He thought the Fantastic Four died. He thought Sue died, so he went mad. And then Sue wasn't dead, and she was pretty much like, "Fuck you," and tried to kill him. So then he just was like, "Okay, I'm done with people. I'm just gonna be the smartest man in the universe that doesn't care about people."
Okay.
And that's pretty much the Maker.
Okay.
But
I don't think my theory works anymore. But
I think
I
it's
was
too
gonna-
early for the Maker.
okay. Because I was going to say, like, what if there's some kind of twist where the Fantastic Four movie that we're about to get is actually about the origin of the Maker, and
That
this
would be-
Reed ends up being...
I think that would be incredibly not the move on like the first.
I don't
could be
either,
the first like
but-
good universally liked Fantastic Four. I don't think they'll go there.
Okay.
I think they want to keep these characters around for a while, let them be the Fantastic Four that we've never really seen in the wider Marvel universe, where like they're the most important characters, and then maybe we'll get to the Maker one day.
Is the Maker a part of the 2015 Secret Wars run? It's
Yes,
2015, right? Yeah.
him, and Miles are the only two people who make it out of his universe.
Okay.
Because it's the Ultimate Universe and the main universe colliding, and the Maker sneaks onto the life vessel that like Prime Reed made to get out of there.
Let me ask you real quick before we start talking about our main event. Here, we're going to go to break before we start talking about the main event.
All
But
right.
if they were to win you over with, like, let's remove all of our context about the mess of a production that Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to be, and the sort of like overall slate. What do you want from a Fantastic Four centric Avengers movie? Like what's something they could do to actually like win you over? What's some cool stuff they could do? What are you hoping for?
Honest to God, they really can't. They already ruined Doom. Like, I'm so excited for this movie, but they just like Doom's just kind of dead on arrival for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, I don't doubt that Robert Downey Jr. will give a good performance and be an imposing threat or whatever, but it's just not Doom. Like, it's a disservice for like what could be, like a really, really big platform for the Fantastic Four to come back like into the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what Doom's gonna be, is like so I don't know how I can really be enticed. I'm getting Galactus, Silver Surfer, it sounds like Mole Man, all these things in the first movie. Like all that's left is Doom. And they're not gonna do that right. So I will say I cannot wait to see those Avengers movies, because I think they're gonna be like I'm so curious about those. What are they cooking? I don't know if you're feeling that way too. Like no part of me is like I'm not gonna go see that. Or like I'm not
definitely
trying to see like what they're cooking.
It's like a car crash, or I guess it's not like a car crash, because maybe there is some kind of positive outcome here. I mean, the Russo brothers directed 2 really good Avengers movies, so maybe, very different circumstances, but maybe they can pull out a banger or 2. I don't know. It's not looking good right now, but yeah, I will say, Marvel has pulled the rug out from under us at times and surprised us. What if Robert Downey Jr. is not the main Doctor Doom like we're being pitched, and it's some sort of Captain America Serpent Society situation where maybe we see Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, and maybe there is an important Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars, but he is not the main event Doom. What would you think of that? Lame? Okay.
Yeah, like I just think you have to really make an impression with Doom. And this is obviously you and I, who are really into this, like we know about Doom, we know who Doom really is and supposed to be, but this is like a lot of the general public's like that's going to be their Doctor Doom. And I would love, for something a little more, I guess, comic accurate, you could say, down the line, which I usually don't care about, but like this is Doctor Doom. Like you don't really got to take too many swings. It never works. Yeah, I don't know. It's totally soured Doom for me. Even if Doomsday and Secret Wars are great, like hashtag not my Doom,
Yeah, I also think it's kind of stunty and not really. I don't think it's going to be that good, but I'm not as attached.
There day one.
Yeah, I'll be there day one too. I'm not as attached to Doctor Doom as a character and the Fantastic Four in general. So maybe for a normie like me, they could win me over. But again, they're not starting out from a very hot starting point.
Yeah, and we'll see. Obviously, getting our first Marvel movie in a while, just in a couple of days. So, and this kind of is just because they're rushing this out. Like this is where the Doomsday stuff starts, in a way.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine that, or I don't know. Like this is just, when they did this before, obviously in Infinity War and Endgame, it's like every movie that came out the year before was like, this is directly leading into this. So we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. And let's take a break and get into Captain America Civil War. We're back. And we're going to be talking about Captain America Civil War. But before that, Norman, let's talk about sauce. The intangibles of a movie. This thing that all movies are trying to reach for, but only so few can really grab hold of, in my opinion. especially when we're talking about Marvel movies. There's not a lot of sauce going on in these Marvel movies. So let me just ask you point blank. Does Captain America Civil War have sauce?
Has a lot more sauce than I remember.
Interesting. Okay. Elaborate.
I enjoyed this movie a lot more than the last time I watched it.
Okay.
I don't know. I still think there's some real big issues. Obviously, we'll get more into them. I think the airport battle is pretty terrible. And that's kind of the biggest part of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is kind of crazy. And granted, I don't even love this movie. I still think they did it better than the comic. Like, I probably enjoy it more here. It's
Okay.
a pretty bad comic.
Both
Civil
of them?
War. Yeah, the second one is like garbage, like hot ass. The original one is just not very good.
Okay.
It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's
what
kind of
if-
like a nothing burger.
What if we Civil Warred one more time?
Yeah, well, that's the second one for sure. But even the first one's just like, what if we Civil Warred?
Yeah.
It's not my favorite big old Marvel crossover comic,
Okay.
but I think the movie does it pretty well for the most part. But do you think this movie has sauce?
I don't. But I will say that it has something else that can be equally as important to a movie like this. Maybe even more important to a movie like this. I think stylistically there's not a lot of fun to be had here. Like
I agree there, yeah.
They do nothing with the overall form of the movie. It's very standard. The color grade is gray. This is really, I think this is where, I guess it's kind of, the grayness kind of starts around Winter Soldier, but this is really the epitome of like flat color grade, like very shallow depth of field, weird green screen background stuff. Just like a lot of, it's not a movie that's really focused on its technical prowess.
Yeah, I think it's the worst at the airport battle too, which is my least favorite part of the movie. So
I think I agree with you there. But I will say that this movie does have juice. This movie goes, and it is sick. And I think that can overcome the lack of sauce in this case.
that
I
is
think it
exactly
does.
how I feel about this movie.
Yes, I think that this movie is really propulsive and fun, and the character work is excellent. And I think it just, like I said, it just goes. And that really kind of like, usually I don't really like movies like this. I usually like a movie that's a little more imbalanced towards the saucy scale.
Mm-hmm.
The saucy side of the scale. I like style. I like form. I like Sam Raimi's Marvel movies. That's kind of where I lean. But this is pretty good. I really like this movie. I thought that, I probably watched this movie last when I rewatched all the Marvel movies during COVID. And I thought it was okay. I liked the other two Captain America movies better, and I liked a lot of the other Marvel movies better at the time. But watching this now, it's kind of changed a lot for me. Like I really liked it. I really liked it. Yeah. What did you think? And where were you at when you first saw it?
Like first saw it,
Yeah.
like back in the day. I mean, that was like peak Marvel could never do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that trailer, specifically the part where Spider-Man showed up, probably a million times.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably 10 times a day.
I remember
up until that
exactly
movie
where
came
I
out.
was when I saw that.
Yeah, I was at a after school care. But
Nice.
like I will never forget seeing Spider-Man for the first time in the MCU.
I was
Did I?
I was in the bathroom at a ski resort
Interesting.
Yeah. Weird place, but I remember it like it was yesterday. It's so vivid. It was a moment that changed my life in the bathroom of that ski resort. But yeah, no, continue.
But yeah, I loved it the first time I saw it. Like I said, this is Marvel Do No Wrong time. I think you kind of know what I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw it, I think 3 times opening weekend.
3 times opening weekend in 2016.
Went every day. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I loved it. Then I kind of didn't. I don't know. After rewatching it, it just wasn't too crazy about it. I think the last time I watched it was the before Endgame watch, when Endgame came out.
Yep.
And I just remember, yeah, same thing. Just being like, it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
But after rewatching it yesterday, it slapped. I do think it's juice. I think there some very, very good stuff in this. I guess I'll start. I think there are some, not necessarily career, but MCU career-wide or high performances.
Definitely.
I think this might be Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance on one of these.
Definitely.
I think this might be Sebastian Stan's best performance on one of these.
Definitely.
You're
missing one
Chris
extremely
Evans?
important one. I think
Chadwick?
There you go. That's the one.
Yeah, no. Black Panther is so
fantastic,
so sick in this. I think they don't do a great job with some of the. We'll get into it, I guess. But I think they do a great job introducing Black Panther in this and making him a really big part of the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it led to Black Panther. I think this movie helps a lot. We're a couple of years removed from all that, like knowing what came after.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for Black Panther with Black Panther, but just the next Avengers movies that we got.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This where this movie kind of left everyone going into Infinity War. It's like, yeah, this makes sense.
Definitely.
Or this was the right way to do this, I guess. Like, split them up, because if everyone was there the first time, they probably would have beat Thanos. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely would have. I think that's like a point that the Infinity War goes out of its way to make, and especially Endgame.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ends in a really cool place with them all split up. I think that it ties. It's probably the most significant Marvel movie or project, I think, in that, like.
So.
What's up?
This, actually, a couple weeks ago, I kind of watched a video about the making of Civil War. This was like the turning point for the MCU. Obviously for us as viewers, but also this is when Feige got the keys.
Interesting.
I'll explain that a little more. So obviously Kevin Feige's been there since the start, and he's kind of looked at as like the mastermind in a derogatory way of the MCU, for better or worse. But there was a man named Ike Perlmutter who no one really liked. I don't know why he was there. He kept Feige from making Captain Marvel and Black Panther for a very, very long time.
Yep.
He famously said no one cared that Rhodey would be recasted because all black people look the same.
Yep.
This guy was a real asshole.
Yeah, he's friends with the guys in the White House currently.
Yeah, he also is, I think, on Trump's team now. So that tells you a lot. But he also just held TV he was like only in charge of TV. Like Feige couldn't do anything with TV, and that's why a lot of the Marvel TV, mainly the network stuff, was very, very hit or miss. But yeah, so Feige wanted to make this Civil War with Iron Man and Captain America, and Ike Perlmutter was like, no way. That guy costs way too much money to get in this movie. Like, we need to rewrite this. It was going to be a mad bomb thing. And Kevin Feige kind of just said, fuck it, and went over Perlmutter's head, went to Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, and said, hey, like, this will bang. Like, this will work. Like, let me get Downey for this. Let me make this a really big thing.
Yeah.
There's an interview with the Russo brothers where when they heard Downey was going to be in it, they pretty much said, oh shit, we're making an Avengers movie. Yeah, obviously it paid off. This movie made a ton of money. Everyone liked it when it came out. And Ike Perlmutter was booted out. And Bob Iger pretty much told Feige, you can do whatever you want now. You have my big pockets.
Yep.
So yeah, just a little Civil War history lesson there for you.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. It
It was a change of the guard, and obviously with the Russos too. I mean, that's I'd say more than Winter Soldier what got them the job on Infinity War and Endgame, and now obviously again same with Doomsday and Secret Wars.
That honestly, I didn't think of it before in that context, but that actually makes a lot of sense that it ties into so many significant things that came out after it. Because I guess you could say that's Feige leaving the, little breadcrumbs of where he eventually wanted to go. I think that this movie is integral to Black Panther. It is integral to Spider-Man, obviously. It is integral to WandaVision. And
all the Ant-Man movies.
Yeah, the Ant-Man movies that came out after it.
Pretty much everything but Thor and Guardians.
Yes.
Which the year after this, we got
yeah,
Guardians 2 and Thor, which is like, hey, this is what these guys are doing up until Infinity War.
Yeah. But yeah.
This is kind of what Age of Ultron was supposed to be. But the movie's a mess, and there was a lot of butting heads between Perlmutter and Feige about how they wanted to do things.
Interesting.
Which is why Joss Whedon left, because he was actually about to get the keys, which would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting. I guess, like, I don't know, like, I feel like he had... I think Avengers 1 is great. I think Avengers 2, he's probably running out of gas.
That was a lot of studio interference, though, too. I don't know. We should emphasize that Joss Whedon's a horrible person.
Yes.
I think he's a good writer, especially comic book characters. He wrote Astonishing X-Men, which is one of my favorite X-Men runs.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it would have been interesting seeing the world where he locked in for Infinity War and Endgame.
What's Astonishing X-Men about?
It was just kind of like a soft reboot of the X-Men. It went on for a couple years. Just good. I don't know. X-Men comics are really, really confusing.
Yeah.
But it's a very good run.
Okay. Sweet. Let's get into the actual movie.
We should, just a little MCU history lesson for you.
Yeah. These movies have, so much to do with the actual business of, the bureaucracy of Disney, I guess.
There's a whole book about it, and it's a pretty cool book.
Yeah. But we kind of start the movie with this, mission with Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, and Black Widow. And they're going up against Crossbones, who's looking for this pathogen, I think. And
a bioweapon, yeah.
Little bioweapon. What do you think of this opening scene here? Just setting the table for this movie.
It's pretty solid. Things just kind of establishes this is what the Avengers are right now, or I guess who they are right now. Because the Iron Man and Rhodey aren't there. Neither is Vision. But yeah, just kind of this is the team. Let's lock in. Something goes wrong, and it is kind of like I don't know. It's like the tipping point that leads us to the Accords.
Yeah.
Which it seems like was already happening. It seems like Tony was working with them on that for a while, but it's a pretty cool opening, calm little action scene. Picks off well after Winter Soldier. I didn't watch Age of Ultron in this rewatch. I don't think you did either.
I didn't either, no.
So I think it picks off well off of that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good opening, though. You have anything?
I think that, what you made a pretty good point there about how they're really showing you what the Avengers is in this current, state, in, post-Ultron.
Kind of like what we got at the start of Ultron.
Yeah, but it knowing who's there and who's not sets up a clear sort of divide in, like, who's actually on the ground most of the time and superheroing, and who's more kind of like a government superhero. you know what I mean?
The one paying for all of it. The one making them look cool, as he says in Ultron.
Yes. I noticed we talked about in Winter Soldier, Falcon's suit. We wished it was a little more comic accurate, and we kind of wish he had a bird, even though, like, with, the rest of the MCU, I guess it would kind of stick out. But that's kind of cool. That's what's fun about comic books. But they did give him the bare minimum. He has
a drone.
He has a drone and a little bit of gold on the goggles. So.
And like a red stripe.
Yeah.
On his chest.
Great job, guys.
Great job.
I mentioned this also in the Winter Soldier discussion, but watching these movies again, it kind of like really, it doesn't take me out of the movie in a bad way, but I really like kind of shoot up at the action in this movie, like specifically the violence of the action in these Captain America movies. Like,
oh, he goes crazy at the start.
In this opening scene, he murders like 13 people. Just like, and I guess he is a soldier. He's not Spider-Man. He's not like, a kid that's, just trying to do the right thing. He is a soldier trained to kill people. And he certainly does a lot of that in this opening scene. I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to point out a few guys here in this opening scene. And I want to ask you, did this guy live? Okay?
All right.
The guy that gets hit with the shield out of the air when Falcon flies by and drops Captain America, and this guy gets shielded into the truck that's next to him. Did that guy live?
Definitely not.
No, yeah, definitely not. There's one guy that gets lifted into the air by Scarlet Witch, and then Falcon clips him right in the neck with his wing. Did that guy live?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Oh, this was my personal favorite one. Is the guy when Captain America goes into the building to look for the pathogen, he grabs a guy by his ankle at one point and throws him into a column inside the building. Did that guy live?
No, and it reminded me of in the new Kong Godzilla movie.
Yes.
Where he picks up little Kong and smacks him around like a hammer.
Yep. Great film. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Shout out that movie. Yeah, so pretty cool opening scene. You have Scarlet Witch, the inciting incident of the movie happen where Scarlet Witch lifts Crossbones, who's blowing up into the air, and it hits this building instead of Captain America. Although it would have killed a lot of people on the ground around Captain America too. It's not like it wasn't going to be like a zero casualty situation at that point, I don't think. Unless she threw him maybe like behind them, I don't know, in the air, not towards the building. Doesn't really matter, but I don't know. So she blows up this building, and everybody's mad about it. Everybody's like, oh my God, can't believe she blew up this building. We need to put the Avengers in check. That's at least what Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross is probably thinking at that time. But from there, we go to Tony Stark, who's at MIT, and he's unveiling this barf technology, which plays a very prominent role in Spider-Man No Way Home. Not No Way Home.
That's
Far From
all
Home.
I could think about.
Yep.
During that scene. I was just waiting for Quentin Beck to pop up.
Yep. But yeah, this is the first introduction of that, and it's simultaneously also, I believe, the first introduction of digital de-aging in the MCU. Right? This was the first time they used it? Yeah. What do you think of it in this movie?
First big movie in a while, but I don't think it looks awful. It's definitely aged a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This looks a little too smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do you feel? You feel the same?
I agree. I probably think it looks pretty good. I probably think it looks a little better than you were saying. But yes, too smooth. And I don't really think like as a um storytelling device, like it's not that important. It's kind of just like showy whenever they digitally de-age somebody. I guess
Mm-hmm.
it would be more important for a movie like Captain Marvel where you have Sam Jackson there the entire time, who's digitally de-aged. For this, it's not really. It gives you a little bit of the actually it is kind of important as far as like a flashback goes. It gives you how Tony Stark was close with his mother and not so close with his father, and that's pretty important to this story. So I see why it's there. Um, but yeah, you can do it a different way though, But yeah, and then he kind of like goes through his speech, and you get Pepper Potts on the teleprompter. He wants to bring out the head of Stark Industries, Pepper Potts, and she's not there. And this reminded me, this was this weird era where Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, wasn't it like a Gwyneth Paltrow thing? Like like her contract was up or something, and they didn't,
I'm not
get her back.
totally sure. It definitely feels weird. It just feels half baked in this and in Age of Ultron.
It does.
I mean, we know it just feels like an actress wasn't available.
Yes.
But for the meticulously crafted everything perfect MCU, it does feel a little half baked. But I don't know why I really talk about it all. Then just say she's working on something else somewhere else. But yeah, it's kind of this like looming thing that is going on where they split for some reason. Then they're just back in Infinity War. So
yeah, I think, or they're back in Homecoming.
they are back at home. You're right.
I think it weirdly. I don't know if it was like a Gwyneth Paltrow situation or they were actually using this within the story, but I think it really works. Like for this movie, it really adds to Tony Stark's
Crashing out.
crashing out. Yeah, just in simple terms, it really kind of like it's another thing that really shows how Tony has lost his sort of North Stars, I guess. Like he's not really thinking straight. His anxiety has overcome him, and he's just doing a bunch of stuff to essentially absolve himself of any guilt that would come from superheroing. And I think that is really interesting as far as a starting point for a character. And I think that Robert Downey Jr. does a really great job in this movie, like you said. And yeah, he's clearly guilty about the whole Ultron thing. That makes a lot of sense. That's kind of like a carryover from that movie. What do you think about that scene between him and it's Alfre Woodard, I believe, talking about Charles Spencer, the kid that died in Sokovia?
I mean, it's a nice scene. Like it just kind of adds on to where Tony's going, and it just becomes more and more clear that this is how he like feels really guilty. Like he feels awful about Ultron, which I would too. So
yeah, you blew up a city.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scene though.
Yeah, I think it does a really good job of like showing how Tony is guilty and like how that he has trauma and anxiety. Like he has the carryover stuff from the Avengers and Iron Man 3 where he's like crashing out once again. But yeah, the movies before it and the little setup you get in this movie do a really good job of showing you how Tony is not himself and how it really they really set him up to be a good villain in this movie. And that's kind of people. I mean, it's just marketing going into the movie with like the whole Team Iron Man. Are you Team Iron Man or are you Team Cap? It's funny that when you watch the actual movie, there's not really a like Team Iron Man or Team Cap situation. Like there's no like by the end of the movie, if you side with Iron Man, I hate to say it, but like I don't know if you got it. Like it's just it's Tony sort of like, I don't know. I think that most of that is marketing anyway. Like, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's just kind of funny that they kind of set it up like that when there is such a clear right and wrong by the end of the movie.
Yeah, and you kind of start to think like, why would Black Widow, a spy, want to just like be very open and just work for the government and be told to have missions? Like her whole thing is like, I'm trying to be better from my past because I had to do these things that I'm not proud of. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, Spider-Man. Why would Spider-Man be okay with that? That is like the least Spider-Man thing ever.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch you on something. Black Panther throughout the movie goes on this journey of like, he starts out being vengeful for the death of his father. He wants to kill the Winter Soldier at all costs. But by the end of the movie, he realizes that vengeance is not going to get anybody anywhere. And it just, tears people apart. Like, it's tearing apart the Avengers, and it tore apart Zemo's life. And he's not going to do it anymore. And he sort of switches his tone on the whole thing. He's, come around to... He's not really Team Iron Man or Team Cap at that point. At that point, it's kind of like a personal thing between Captain America and Iron Man. There's not really any kind of like debate about the Sokovia Accords at that point in the movie. But Black Panther sort of comes around to realizing that he was wrong throughout the movie. I think, this movie is 2 hours and 28 minutes, I believe. Give me an extra 10 minutes on the movie where Spider-Man goes through a similar change of heart. Maybe that happens midway through the airport battle, like maybe when he's having that conversation with Captain America. I feel like Spider-Man should be immediately skeptical of the fact that they're fighting Captain America.
So that's actually exactly how the comic goes. In the comic, Peter reveals his identity and is like, I'm on Team Iron Man. We need to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the farther it goes, it's like, hey, fuck you, Iron Man. Like, you ruined all this for me. Like, his family like Aunt May and Mary Jane, like, got attacked by villains because everyone knows who Peter Parker is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm done. And Iron Man beats the living shit out of him and leaves him to die in the sewer.
Jeez.
And the Punisher takes him to Captain America, and Spider-Man switches sides.
Yeah, I haven't read that, but I can see why you say it's garbage.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's pretty interesting there. But in the movie, I feel like Spider-Man's clearly aware of the Avengers, and he probably idolizes them to some extent, and that's why he's very excited that Iron Man is there, and it's like, oh, cool, like, I'm gonna be an Avenger one day. Like, that's, that feels like Spider-Man, like, but I feel like he should be immediately questioning the entire reason for being there when Captain America walks out and Iron Man looks deranged. Like, he looks like off it. Like, it doesn't look like Tony Stark is in the right headspace, clearly. And I feel like they should have had some moments within the fight where Spider-Man sort of catches on to, like, I don't know about this. Like, and sort of maybe he...
What would his trilogy be about if he's not Iron
that's
Boy Jr.?
I think you can have your cake and eat it too on this, in that I think by the end of the movie, Iron Man sort of is a little bit more sympathetic to Cap's situation. And I think if Spider-Man doesn't necessarily... Like, I don't think Spider-Man would, in my, fictional redo of Civil War, I don't think Spider-Man starts fighting the Iron Man people and, like, helping Cap get away. I think he just leaves. He's like, this is not my fight. I'm out. I'm gonna go do Spider-Man shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they kind of wrote him in last minute because of all the right stuff, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of just, I don't know. That's just like how MCU Spider-Man is, though.
Yeah,
like
but
they really laid the groundwork in this. No, I think it sucks. I like him in this movie for the 10 minutes he's in it. It's always nice to see Spider-Man.
Yes.
But that's how we are where we are now. With
Yeah.
Tom Holland.
It's true. I don't love it. I do really like the conversation he has with Captain America, and that should sort of, I think, endear him to Captain America and saying, like, why am I fighting this guy? You know, like, you should question it a little bit. But yeah, I think Spider-Man should have had a change of heart, similar to, I guess not too similar to Black Panther, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these Sokovia Accords. So it basically states that the Avengers, under this, under these accords, the Avengers are going to operate under a United Nations panel that determines what are Avengers level threats, I guess you could say. And that creates this divide between Captain America and Iron Man. What do you think about the Accords as a device within the movie to get the characters on two sides?
I think they're pretty good. I think it makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, that part is pretty much exactly the same as the comics, except it's a different inciting incident.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always liked the idea of like the Accords and like a bunch of superheroes being like, yeah, we need to be kept in check by the government, and a group of superheroes being like, hell no, like we're superheroes. It's up to us.
Yeah.
Like I believe in just the indomitable human spirit. How do you feel about it, though?
I think upon rewatch, like it's a pretty like smartly laid out ethical quagmire, I guess you could say. Like it's just like Captain America lays it out pretty well when he says like people have agendas and agendas change. And obviously talking about the United Nations and the government sort of dictating when the Avengers can go out and handle a situation. Again, in this movie, just like in Winter Soldier, and even to some extent in the first Captain America movie, he is at odds with the establishment and the United States government. And that's when Captain America is at his best. That is like the core of Captain America. I feel like it's a misconception that a lot of people have, that he's this Boy Scout, this dutiful soldier. He is not. He fights for freedom and autonomy, basically, if you could, distill it to a phrase. But yeah, I think that the scene where they all are sort of debating signing it is fantastic from a character standpoint. Like each character kind of gets a word in, and it makes a lot of sense where each character is coming from. Like when you have Rhodey and Sam in the back talking about whether to sign it, and then they're kind of like ex-military guys with no superpowers. You have like Vision chiming in, who's this like android who doesn't really he lacks the human element that those other guys are coming at the conversation with. But he
just
kind
effects.
he hits you with like ever since Tony Stark revealed his identity as Iron Man, the number of superpowered people has risen exponentially, and with that the conflict has risen exponentially, and conflict breeds catastrophe. So he sort of comes at it from an objective perspective. He doesn't really take a side, although he is, Iron Man's robot, so he's Team Iron Man, although he doesn't really state where he's at on it. And it seems like all he's worried about in this movie is Wanda's safety, which is really cool and interesting. It's a cool little wrinkle about this movie, and it leads into WandaVision. Like I said, without this movie, WandaVision doesn't really make that much sense. Like they don't really do a lot with their relationship in any of the other movies. I guess Infinity War is probably where you get the most of it. But this is some pretty good groundwork for that in a movie with a lot of moving parts. You do have this really interesting story with Wanda and Vision. And yeah, you have Captain America in that scene talking about how they're basically surrendering their right to choose what battles they need to fight. And it really paints the picture that Tony is like overcome with anxiety. He's trying to absolve himself of the guilt of this Charles Spencer guy that died in Sokovia. He's really, affected by that interaction after the MIT presentation. But yeah, what do you think of that scene overall? That scene where they're all getting at it about the Accords.
No, I really like it. It reminds me of the kind of the Joss Whedon Avenger movie where everyone just feels like very different in themselves, which I think the bigger the scale with some of these get, they more just kind of feel like all one character saying the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, I think it's great. Yeah, just kind of character work. And since we obviously been following these characters, we know where they would stand with all this immediately. But it's nice to see all the different perspectives.
Yeah, and we do know where they're going to stand immediately almost, but the fact that we do adds to like that is the great character work. They did their homework and they took the best, the really great elements of all of those other movies that those characters are in, and they put them in this situation where they're kind of going to be split and they're going to they're going to be tested. I think it's really great stuff from a writing standpoint in this movie.
Definitely.
And I feel like, how we were talking about like last week, how you were like Winter Soldier is not a political thriller. There's big spaceships and that kind of thing, and it's like it doesn't really have that feel. I feel like I'm not going to argue that Captain America: Civil War is a political thriller, but I feel like there's more of an argument to be made here.
Yeah.
Because it is so much about this dilemma of whether or not superheroes should, act on their own accord or be controlled by the government. And so much of it is about where these characters stand on that dilemma.
For sure.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it's great. Do you want to take a quick break here?
Let's take a quick break. Let's talk about that airport fight. You don't like it. Why?
First of all, I think it looks ugly. Second of
True.
all, I think it really slows down the movie. I know they kind of had to do it. You just have to have as many characters as you can get on that screen beating the shit out of each other. That's why people went, if we're all being honest with ourselves. But yeah, I really just think it like pauses the movie. Like, let's go pick up Ant-Man, let's go pick up Spider-Man, let's go pick up Hawkeye, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I kind of agree. Like, I see what you're saying. I enjoy it. I think it's fun in the kind of way where, like, just kind of looks like a splash page in a comic book panel. I mean, it doesn't look as good. Like, it's, gray backgrounds like we were talking about. But it's the general idea of, like, a bunch of superheroes fighting on the same shot. It's fun, I think. Yeah, I think it's fun. That's kind of where I land on it. But
yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess this is the nicest thing I could say. It is fun. It's not something you see every day. So
yeah, I think that they do a cool job with the character work again. Like, it's fun to see like who's kind of like Black Panther is like trying to kill people. He's trying to kill Bucky.
Yeah.
Whereas like Hawkeye and Black Widow are like just there. They're just there to support. They're just
They're pulling their
buds.
punches.
They're pulling their punches. And Spider-Man's just trying to impress Iron Man. Everybody's got their own little motivation here. The central conflict is between Captain America and Iron Man, and that's still very well done. But there's a lot of like conflicting motivations going on here, and it's cool to see it all sort of like
For sure.
pop in this one scene. But yeah, it's cool. I think that Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye and Paul Rudd as Ant-Man are fun standouts. I think like they don't have much to do in this movie, but everything that they say, I was like, I like these characters and these actors.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. I think they're also the two that have like least reason to be there, which is interesting.
Yes. The Ant-Man thing literally makes no sense. Like it maybe it would make more sense if you watched Ant-Man right before this.
So this is what I kind of took away with the Ant-Man thing this time around. The whole reason they're going to the airport is because they think they're about to fight 5 Winter Soldiers, pretty much, and they're just trying to get whoever they can to help them.
Okay.
And Falcon, that's why it kind of says, I know a guy. Like, I might be shady, but like that is just, I'm trying to think of someone with a superpower ability. This Ant guy kicked my ass a couple months ago.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's just not the smartest way, because you really have to watch this movie a lot to get that, other than it's just feeling like, let's just get as many people as we can. Who's around? You know, the Guardians are in space, Thor and Hulk. They can't be in this movie.
They don't even know the Guardians at that point.
Yeah, they don't even know the Guardians. So, just kind of everyone in the established. Doctor Strange was right around the corner.
Do they know? They don't know Doctor Strange either, do they?
No.
Crazy. Different time.
Different time. Doctor Strange came out right after this, though.
Yeah. I want to ask you, you know, we have, you know, the Avengers used to be like a very clear roster of characters where we were like, oh, these are the Avengers and these are cool characters that we love, and there's great movies about each of these individual characters. Who do you think is going to be the main Avengers in the current MCU going forward? Just quick little sidebar.
Captain America.
Sam Wilson?
Yeah, Sam Wilson.
Okay.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's all I got. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like maybe Shang-Chi.
I think Doctor Strange is probably up there, but yeah,
I wouldn't. He's not really an Avenger though. He's not really an Avenger in Infinity War either.
There's the problem.
Yeah.
I wasn't even gonna say that about Doctor Strange, but you make a very interesting point that
he just kind of shows up because it's on his radar.
Yes,
and that's usually how he operates.
Yes, there are certain characters that are very clearly Avengers. And there are certain characters that are kind of in and out, and there are certain characters that are very clearly not. I think largely the, you know, body of superheroes in the MCU right now is the guys that are in and out. And that's a problem if you want to make Avengers movies.
For sure.
So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do because, you know, I feel like Spider-Man and
probably Spider-Man is an Avenger.
But even him, like even Spider-Man doesn't strike me as like a main...
And after No Way Home.
Yeah. I forgot about the ramifications of that. Like we don't even know what that's going to be.
Doomsday opens up and there's not really Avengers, and they all kind of become the Avengers again, quote unquote. Like this is so big it draws everyone in, and everyone's an Avenger or whatever. I don't think we'll have like this is the team. I mean, even in Infinity War, there's not really a team. Because most of them are fugitives. What is it? Just Rhodey's living at the compound, so.
I'm going to disagree with you. Here's how it's actually going to go. We're going to know who the Avengers are at the end of this next Captain America movie. And the Avengers are going to be the Thunderbolts. And I think we're going to get that at the end. I think we're going to go right into Thunderbolts after this Captain America movie. Like, I think post-credits or even the end of the movie, we're setting up the Avengers. And the Avengers are the Thunderbolts. We need something new. I guarantee you, this is how it's going to go. It's going to be Harrison Ford.
That'd be awful.
It's going to be, yeah, he's going to slow turn to the camera. He's going to be like, we need to try something different. Enter Julia Louis-Dreyfus. How about something darker? The Dark Avengers this summer.
I think that name change would have happened by now. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to tie into anything. Like, I don't think they knew where they were going to end up when they were making this Captain America movie. I don't think we'll know till Doomsday.
Okay. I think it's possible. Yeah.
It's definitely possible, but I'm like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of hate that if it was just like.
I hate it too. I'm just making up shit. I think that.
No, they're going to get their heavy hitters back who aren't.
But how? I feel like you need to reboot to do that because you need Iron Man, you need Captain America, you need like.
Were you talking about after Doomsday?
No, I'm talking. No, it's two separate things. Like I meant like I think after Captain America: Brave New World, we're gonna know that the Avengers are gonna be the Thunderbolts. I think. Well, maybe like it's gonna lead into Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolts is actually where we get the confirmation. Like, I guess this is the Avengers now. And I think we're going to really like those characters after that movie. I think it's going to work. But again, those guys are not really like...
Yeah, I'm not...
The mainline Avengers. Like, it doesn't quite have that same cachet. But I'm getting the vibes. Like, of the original... Like, that's what I feel when I watch the Thunderbolts trailer. I'm like, okay, we're getting like a team back together. Like, this is what it felt like to watch the Avengers come together. I guess it was a little more, bombastic. You had Captain America, you had Iron Man, you had Thor. We had just seen all those movies. It was a lot of fun. Those characters are so colorful and awesome and classic. These guys are like, it's the Guardians, it's the Suicide Squad. We've seen it before. But it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be good.
We'll see. I hate that idea. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what the Avengers will be, but
because who is it? Who's it gonna be?
We're not gonna know till that movie comes out. It's gonna be like Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Hulk, She-Hulk, Falcon, and then I don't know.
Daredevil.
We'll yeah, like maybe they'll do Daredevil or something stupid like that. But
yeah, oof. Yeah. So we don't know what the Avengers is gonna be. I guess you could say. The Avengers, I mean, it's not that similar of a place to where we are at the end of Civil War because Iron Man and Cap were still around. They were just not on the Avengers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the ending is really great and cool. Like, like we said, there's great character work in this movie. I think the fake out of like, we're going to fight 5 Winter Soldiers. Where like at the time when I saw this, I was like, how old would I have been? I was 14. So, like, the idea of seeing, like, Captain America and Iron Man fight, like, 5 Winter Soldiers was probably a cool proposition back then. Thinking about it now, that would have sucked.
That was awful. I was thinking that, too, while I was watching this.
Yeah. That's, like, the, Batman versus Superman version of this movie. Which I think is, they very smartly zag on on fighting, like, 15 Winter Soldiers. And Iron Man and Cap don't team up to fight Doomsday at the end of this movie. It's a very personal conflict between the two of those characters through and through, all the way through the movie. And they fight, and it's great. You have the reveal that Zemo was, just trying to get Captain America and Iron Man alone to show Iron Man this video of Bucky murdering his parents. And it's a cool, it's a, I'm not going to say like, my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe that it happened or whatever. Like, it's a crazy twist, but it's a very effective twist, I think, in that what that twist allows is really great. And it is a little shocking. Like, it's not like, like I said, like, my jaw was on the floor. Like, it's not like that kind of twist, but like, it's like, oh, okay, we're going there.
Yeah, no. I think it's the best part of the movie. It wraps it up great. Yeah, no. I way prefer the personal route that they went, and I think it just made for a better movie. And yeah, I feel a lot more positive on this one than last time I watched.
Agreed.
How would you rank the Steve Rogers Captain America movies?
Okay. We're going to go... Nah, I got to put 1 first. I'm going to go 1, 3, 2.
I'm going to go the exact same as you. 1, 3, 2.
Yep. And all of these movies aged pretty well, I will say.
I would disagree on the Winter Soldier. I still like it, but I think the more age it gets, the worse it comes for me.
Okay.
But I think Civil War really aged well. I think the first one is classic. That shit is so fire. I love it. But hopefully Brave New World will...
Yeah, let's do a little Brave New World. Where do you think that it's going to slide in with these other Captain America movies? Before we go in.
The bottom. I think it's gonna, yeah. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be very good. But we will see. I'd love to be wrong.
I also think we're going to slide Brave New World into the bottom, under Winter Soldier. But I would love to be proven wrong.
I'd be more than happy to be wrong.
I would love to slide it in between Winter Soldier and Civil War as like, that's the ceiling though, I think. I don't think it could go any higher than that.
Yeah, I would be very surprised.
I would even be surprised if it does make it to that, like, oh, it was better than Winter Soldier. Like, I don't know if that's gonna happen. But
it's not looking good. But
no. I'm gonna give you a little surprise segment here. Norman doesn't know anything about it. We're gonna do who will show up in Captain America: Brave New World. I'm gonna give you some options, and you're gonna tell me. You're gonna pick one, and you're gonna tell me how they're gonna play into the movie.
All right.
Okay. Your first option: the Presence from the movie Presence. Will the Presence show up in Captain America?
I don't think so.
Okay. Your second option. I'm just going to read through these. I'm just going to go through.
All right.
Count Orlok of Nosferatu 2024.
Not happening.
Laszlo Toth of The Brutalist.
Maybe.
Or any member of the Eternals.
I'd probably put the Eternals at the bottom of that list.
I think you're right. I don't think any member of the Eternals is going to show up in Captain America: Brave New World.
Definitely not.
No. Except for Tiamut.
Yeah, I guess Tiamut.
Yeah, the guy coming out of the earth or whatever. Great film, Eternals.
Great film, but
yeah. Who you picking there? You gotta pick one guy.
I gotta pick one.
You gotta pick one.
Count Orlok. That'd be kind of right.
All right. Post credits, like where's he coming in?
First post credit scene.
First post credit scene, right on. Yeah, ties into the Blade movie that's happening.
Yeah, definitely happening.
Right. Okay, sweet. All right, there you have it. Count Orlok
to be our show
appear in Captain America: Brave New World. It comes out tomorrow. It's premiering tonight, which is interesting. They never do that. The premiere
probably
usually
means
happens.
It sucks.
Yeah. But stay tuned. We'll be doing a podcast on Brave New World. We're going to see it on the Thursday night, and we're going to be back to pod about it on Monday. So
see y'all then.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, IG, TikTok. Stay tuned and sneak into the movies with us next time.